I wanted to make a Nights into Dreams mod because I haven't done any this year, and I thought I would maybe document the process just whilst I have this sort of blank slate to begin with. Like, I have a vague idea of how I'm going to make the mod because I have researched how I would do such a mod, because about a year ago I was doing research into the mepians, and the mepians, they've got tails in their model files, and in Nights into Dreams HD's Sega Saturn Dreams mode, you can see the tails. There is right there. But in brand new Dreams, there is no tail. That is a shame, because the model gets loaded and stuff. There is just no code to actually render the tail. About a year ago, I done a little test project to see, well, if I can't just add on the tails to be rendered, what if I just change the part that renders the wings, instead tell it to render the ID for where the tail was, and the result of that was this. And so if I replace the wing model with the tails, that works, but obviously some mepians have tails and wings, so it would be better to just have code that would allow both to be rendered at the same time. That's a little bit more in depth than I was willing to go into last year. Now I am willing to go into that. So since I'm on a fresh install, I don't have the game downloaded, I don't have Visual Studio downloaded, so the first thing I need to do is to actually do all that. So I'm just going to use winget to download everything. So first of all, we'll need Steam. We'll need the Steam DRM remover, because Nights has Steam's DRM, and we'll need the mod manager and loader. After that, some general utilities that are useful to have. 7-zip is just good for like unzipping and zipping files. I can't remember if the files need to be zipped in a particular way before going up on GitHub or Game Banana. Git is useful so we can upload to GitHub, so the mod can have features like automatic updating, which technically you can just do automatic updating with Game Banana only, but that requires you to have already uploaded the mod, so that you can then put the Game Banana ID of your mod inside the mod's configuration. But then that configuration isn't going to be uploaded to Game Banana, so why I prefer to just use GitHub for updating the mod. Now for actually writing the code down, we have Visual Studio is what will let us like write the code for the mod and compile it. And Visual Studio Code is just nice to have. I'm not sure if we'll need it, but it is useful for editing config files and stuff. And finally, I'll need to do some artwork for the Game Banana page, because Game Banana does not let you upload mods without artwork. So for that, Paint.net is just useful for basic image manipulation, not so much for actually drawing a thumbnail. I think I'll be using Krita for that, but I've got that on Steam, so I'll be getting it there. And PNG Gauntlet's just really nice for compressing PNG files. Oh, wait, IDA, right, the decompiler. IDA Pro is paid software, and so I pirate it. I'm not gonna lie. I just pirate it. I've got a pirated installation. I'm just going to use. Oh, I don't have that downloaded. I'll need to find that. You know. Oh fuck! There it is, right there. Oh, perfect. I'll be able to continue that. My totally legitimate IDA. So now I can install like Nights. There we go. And then once night is done, which will be soon, I will install Krita. Oh, yes, now I should be able to add nights. There we go. Okay. Okay. So we've got that. We can download the mod for the A-Life editor. A-Life. There we go. It's my mod. I made this. Yippee. Reloaded to install to my desktop. Apparently so. Oh look, it's my dead name several times. And we'll skip straight into gameplay so that way we can see the NiGHTS as soon as possible. And we'll go into the Mystic Forest because the Mystic Forest is cool. If we were to open up the game as is in IDA, then everything is going to be scrambled. There's not much that can be done with the DRM on it, but it's very easy to just run this. I don't think any of this matters. So, unpack. Hooray! So then this is the one we use in IDA to actually try and read the code. Or, not read it, but generate pseudocode for the game. So let's test that right now. Let's open up IDA. I agree. Okay.
Think fast, Chuckle Nuts.
Go. That's bright. That's really bright. My poor little eyeballs. Okay, there we are. Perfect. And then I have this IDB file. Does that need to be next to the exe file? Let's find out. Let's try it, yeah. Upgrade. Okay. Okay, so this should be the game's code. Actually, I wonder if I even needed to... Maybe I didn't need to remove the DRM. Maybe that's just needed one time for the initial analysis of the code. Let's check the location. We should hopefully be... Yeah, here we go. So this is the... this is the rendering function for the NiGHTS. Where if we're in Sega Saturn Dreams, we do some other functions. Otherwise, we're in the brand new Dreams mode. It's got some code that seems to be for rendering an egg. But this is the loop that does the each body part. Cool. Now that we've got the disassembly, it's not a disassembly, is it? I don't know what it's called. Now that we've got the pseudocode generating, we want to create a mod. So let's pull up the documentation on. We need cheat engine. We don't have cheat engine. Let's get cheat engine. So cheat engine is adware. It is adware in the installer. So you need to be careful. You don't want to install the adverts. Okay, so here this is an ad. You want to skip the installation. That's the scary part about installing cheat engine. I do not want to try out the tutorial. Now we shall find the reloaded to documentation. Documentation. And I'm a programmer. Okay. Ooh. Do we have the latest .NET SDK? Let's have a look, see. We can run this and this will tell us. Oh, nothing appeared. I don't think we do have it. Download the latest SDK for your operating system. Okay. In that case, that is Microsoft.NET SDK 9. So if I install that, successfully installed. Okay, so now when I type in list SDKs, we see that we do have .NET installed. And we've got Visual Studio, we got that earlier. We need the reloaded mod templates, so there we go. Success. Okay, so we can just create the project directly from Visual Studio. I could have sworn that we had installed it. Oh, unable to launch. Could not find the file specified. Okay, so find where it is in your program files. Rename or delete this. And we'll try the command again. Are we installed now? No? Installer failed with exit code 1. In this scenario, we are just going to install the program. There we go. Here we go. All installations are up to date. Wait. No, you don't have Visual Studio. You're lying to me. I think we're doing .NET stuff. Okay. So now Visual Studio is actually installed. Let's create a new project. And it should be, hopefully, is there reloaded in here? There is. Here it is. So we're going to make this, and I'm going to make it in my modding folder. We're going to call this mod. Okay, let's call it Mepian Tales. The mod name is also going to be Mepian Tales. The mod offer is Lily. That's my name. And I don't use GitHub Actions because I tried that with a reloaded mod back when I first started developing them, and I couldn't get it to work. I don't plan on this mod being configurable. I think I'm just going to disable the mod configuration support. Yippee, AI. I don't know what the debugger does. I've never seen that. And to begin with, we're just going to print hello world to make sure everything is working. Hello world. If I hit Ctrl-Shift-B, that will build the project. And there's our DLL. Okay. I've already done the tutorial. I don't see our mod in here. Let's have a look in the config. Supports NiGHTS.exe. That should make it appear in the list if I build it again. Oh, there it is. Perfect. So now, if we run this, I don't have my Fabled Heart on the A-Life editor offer. I guess I should keep it consistent. Okay. The Gone Heart, I'm sorry. I should launch the game and it's going to burst my eardrums probably. Oh. That's not good. The game didn't even launch. Now I'm wondering, I've not launched the game before on this computer. That could cause issues, so let's try run it normally first. So hopefully now when I load using the mod manager, we're still crashing. Okay. Is that due to the Mepian Tales mod? No. Okay, in that case we'll just do half at a time. So we'll try with the first 5. It has issues with the first 5. How is custom date and time causing the game to crash? What? Did I hit save? If I make it summer, do we have issues? Huh. Oh, is it because this doesn't have like a default value set? Why are you crashing? If I set it manually. Oh, okay. Now it works. Huh. Was it because the day was a 0? Interesting, interesting. Even if I'm not using the day as 0? Huh. Oh, I should just... Okay, the reset button just sets default buttons. That's a bit frustrating. I assume I don't have that written on the game banana page for the game. I should probably update the description to tell people to do that, because by default I want people to just be able to, like, ideally run my mods. And if we run our Mepian Tales mod, then... Oh, DLL not found. Why would the DLL not be found? It's right there. It's got a space in the file name. Is that causing issues? I just connect... Oh, it connects directly to the to do with the debugger. That's very useful. I don't think that... I just realised the game's probably loud as hell. Let me fix that. There we go. I should probably just disable the music as well. As much as I love the music, there's no possible... This level doesn't allow for mepians that would have a tail and wings, so this is a bad level to test on. Where else could we go? We could go to Splash Garden, and I like being Clarice, so we can set it to be summer, a hollow, a party, a mamu. None of these would be helpful. Okay, Frozen Bell then. Oh, you got a little flag? Wow. You can have a hollow, a gal, or a snip. They don't have wings. Maybe it just doesn't display here. Okay, I've come to the conclusion that none of the mepians have tails and wings. See, that one has wings and a tail. So in that case, we will find a party, and we'll use the party to check. No, that's totally his wings. A hollow has a tail and wings. So if we make this have... We'll do hollow parts, and we'll give it the mepian flag. Now when we reload... You're not correct. Why didn't you change? That's meant to have changed the way they look. I am frustrated. I'm not sure why that's not working. I should see if I can find my save file and use it. I don't have my save file. I suppose the game doesn't support the Steam Cloud. Right, okay. It might be because I don't have a save file. I should probably beat the game then. Or at least I'll beat Spring Valley. And that should give me a save file. Oh no! Rest in peace, Nighttopian. Oh no! It keeps happening. Ooh, do we try Paralip Gelbing's tail? That could ruin the A rank. Oh, let's try. Oh, I'm a little nervous. No. No. Fuck. No. I'm gonna... Oh, well, we did a lot of damage. That's fine. That's not great time, but I tried. Nice, look out, big explosion. No. Okay, so now we've got a save file. There we go, perfect. So this is a decorative peon, but it'll do. So the hollow should have wings and a tail, but the tail isn't being shown here. And they seemingly don't have tails in Sega Saturn Dreams, but we should probably confirm that as well. I indeed do not see a tail. on the Sega Saturn Dreams version of that mepian, but there is one in brand new Dreams. There is a tail. This just not rendered. How are we going to get the tail to render? Because we have this code here. If we go right here, this is what... So this part is... Where is this? Okay, so this is deep in the render function somewhere, where we are saying that the body parts that make up this Nightopian, you got the body, some other stuff, I don't know, it's kind of hard to read. This is something to do with wings, so this is saying, hey, this is wings. Part OX19 is the wings, part OX18 is the tail. So for example, if we were to go into Cheat Engine and change that 19 right here to an 18, then we would notice that instead of the wings showing, the tail would show. So here's the number 19. We change that number to an 18. And now in Nights, if we have a look, you see we've got a tail rendering on the left wing. The tail model. That's the left wing model. This one here must be the... I don't know. This all looks really ugly. But that's kind of just how reverse engineering is. We're going to change this back to a 19. See, this is the part where I need to think. I don't really know how that works. I don't know. Okay, so ideally we want to hook in like right before or after this loop. Do we have any... Okay, this function is only called here. This is the only bit of the code that ever calls this function, so this might be a good function to hook, because you've got ones like, oh, pop the transformation matrix, which is called like everywhere. So yeah, let's hook this function. So how do we do that? Let's have a look at the documentation. Calling and hooking game functions. Okay, we're going to make a delegate, we're going to say what the type of the function is. Microsoft disk call. Okay, here maybe. Oh, maybe it goes there. I do know I've done this. Right. Oh, you get to look at my secret sandbox repository where I test Nights modding stuff. It's a big, ugly, thousands of lines of just testing various functions, commenting them out, that type of thing. But we should be able to find a this call in here. Here we go. I swear that's what I was doing. Was I not doing that? Did I not do that? Oh, is it just because I didn't have the... Oh, it's just because I didn't have calling conventions before. Okay. I see. Line 7,500. Wow. So we've made the delegate. What is next on the... So you create a hook. A hook for this. I'm going to call that hook. A namespace cannot directly contain members. Oops, I didn't know I was in a namespace. If you go there, are you happy? Okay, you're happy there. You're not complaining to me there. Okay. Well, if you're happy there, then I'm happy there. I think. You're indented twice, which kind of upsets me, but, you know, that's okay. So instead of saying hello world, we are going to say that the hook is equal to hooks create hook. Oh, we've not created an implementation yet, so public int sub 47D630 implementation that takes self as a parameter. For now, we are just going to we're just going to call the original function, to be honest. Original function, yeah. So we've got the type, we've got the hook, we've got the replacement function for it. Hooks does not exist. Okay. There you go. Why are you unhappy? Is ambiguous. If you don't have that function, what functions do you have? You do have create hook. Oh, okay. None take one argument. Oh, the address. Yes, of course, of course. It needs to know where the function is. Okay, so we're creating the delegate saying this is the type of function it is. We create a hook for the function, and we create an implementation of the function. And then when the mod gets loaded, we set up the hook by connecting that memory address to our implementation. Yippee! So we could probably actually build that and test that it doesn't crash. It's not crashed, which is good. If I was to tell the Visual Studio to pause when we reached this, does it pause the game? No, it didn't pause the game. We'll write the message hello ? And we'll write that whenever that function gets called, which should be pretty often. So we should just get spammed with hello. Yes, there we go. So we are hooking into it. I just don't really understand how this debugger works. See if we just tell it to not do anything. What happens? Well, it seems to work fine without that. I don't know what that does. But we'll hope it's doing its original function as intended, because we don't want to actually replace this. We just want to force ourselves at the very top here. Now that we're in here, we need to figure out, how do we draw a leg? Sorry, not a leg. How do we draw anything? I'm assuming this is something to do with transparency? I don't know which one of these I should call. I should call the top one, and we'll see what happens. So, we're not hooking this one. This one we're wanting to call. How do we call? Calling functions, you create a wrapper and then you call it. Okay. Okay, so that will create a wrapper, which we should just then be able to call. What goes into it? The body part index. That didn't create a wrapper in the way I wanted it to. I wanted to create something I can call. Oh, it's got A1 and A2. Let's put it as 0 for now, and we'll see what happens. Seemingly nothing. I'm wondering, is anything rendering just at the center of the world? This NiGHTS, I believe, is at 0, 0, 0, 0. If there is anything here, I can't see it because of the NiGHTS in the way. Okay, I'm going to see what V12 is when we reach this calling instruction with Cheat Engine. V12 is set here where it's put in EDX. Okay, so whatever EDX is, when we get to... We fail to attach. Oh. Why did you fail to attach? That's not good. Is it because it's connecting to Visual Studio? We crashed it. Fuck. We're gonna get there. You're just crashing. Why? That's frustrating. Have you tried attaching to other debug interfaces? How do you do that? Oh, here we go, here we go. Debugger options. Okay, let's try this debugger then. Yay! Okay, perfect, perfect, perfect. So now, well, let's just have a look at what all the values of V12 can be. So it's going to be whatever in EDX. So let's get rid of that breakpoint. Let's go there. We'll set that 95. 95. It's always 95. If it was ever 94, what would happen? Or 0 even? What does... Oh, 0 puts them in ball form. So I guess this is like the model. Is 95 just for this mepian? As in, if we made it a Kirkle, is that also going to be 95? No, it's 96. Okay, so that's the model, seemingly. So let's store in this model. Hollow OS96 is Kirkle, etc. Okay, so let's just hard code hollow just now. Let's see if anything happens. No tell. Unless it's inside them. It does not appear to be inside them. And once again, I'm going to assume that there is not any up in space with these freaks. No. Okay. See if we don't push the transformation matrix, what happens? If we just knock that. I assume they're just going to be rendering at origin or some shit. So let's find this call. We shall replace it with code that does nothing. Ooh, it flickers. Oh, everything in the level flickers. If we knock the pop, then yes indeed, the body is all that renders. No calling convention? And once again, just assuming this is going to do nothing for now, but it crashes. Okay, that's different than doing nothing. That's probably worse than doing nothing. Standard call? Do I need to do that? Oh, that. Okay, that made it run. Still, obviously, no tail. That one looks complicated. I'm going to ignore that one for now and just do this one. Okay, this is just a nice, simple, fast call. Oh, I need to pass in arguments? Didn't look like I needed to pass in arguments. Is this also a fast call? That's a user call. I don't see arguments being passed in. What about other calls to it? Oh, it definitely takes arguments. Oh god. Okay, well, fuck. Okay, what goes into that then? Because this is a bit where clearly it's ECX and EDX. ECX, we've got the A-life bone. Okay, let's use a bone of 1, which will either be the body or the head. Because the bone order goes bone, then head, then left arm, right arm. So you think 1 would maybe be the head, but for some reason I've got a note here saying that bone 1 is the body, which doesn't make sense. So if EDX is that, then what is ECX? You know what? Here's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to find when this gets called and just see if there's like a number I recognise. Because otherwise I don't know what the arguments should be for that. Well, ECX is nothing here. Same here, same here, same here. So it's just EDX that is changing. So at least we know the first argument should be 0. It's the second argument I'm confused about. EDX, where does EDX come from? Come from EBP minus 2C, where EBP is a pointer to... I don't know what that's a pointer to. Oh, if it's a pointer to this, that's probably easy enough. Because we passed this into... Oh, we only passed this animation into that. Oh, that does complicate things. I could also hook this entire render function just so I can store the this variable. I think I'm going to do that, which is a bit ugly, but that will keep it simple, at least for me. A-life are called angels in the code, so I think that's super cute. I love that they're called angels. We'll just do this as well whilst we're here. A user call. Oh my god, a user call. That's scary. This is the first user call. So that should be function new register EAX register ECX, where the return registers register EAX. Who cleans it up? It's a user call. And for a user call, it's the caller. Caller. Okay, well, either something will happen or it won't. Okay, well, it's just running as normal. Well, you're catching me running out of ideas. I'm at my limits for what I'm capable of doing. I'll be real, with all of this done, I don't know why we're not seeing anything at all. Because I don't feel like we're missing any steps. Yeah, there's definitely no tail. Maybe I should just go for my evil arc, where I'm like, fuck you. Look, there's the tail model. That's with the head as a tail. Both arms as tails, both legs as tails, the body as tails, both wings as tails. The only thing we don't have a tail is the tail. How hard would it be to recreate all of that? Okay, let's see if anything happens. I'm assuming it's going to crash. I want it to crash. It didn't. That's so upsetting. Okay, it crashes. I think that's progress. I'm actually very happy with the idea of it crashing. If I disable culling, force this to always be true. Yay! Happy! Now you can see all the A-life in the level. They move around? Like whilst you're nowhere near them? That's scary. I'm in the vault. We call that. We're not calling that, but that's unimportant. In this function, and all it does is return something unimportant. What happens if we had 4 here instead of 8? I'm getting fucking desperate for anything, any result. I don't know. I thought I understood enough to make this mod, but I don't. And that's very upsetting. I can do this. Is that worth anything to you? No? Alright. Tough crowd. What about... I can crash the game. Are you proud of me? I've never seen a worse programmer alive. Well... soon you'll... I can't make that joke. They're taking me away. Look out. They're gonna get you, Clarice. I had to use 10% of my CPU, like 325 megabytes of memory, a bit of my GPU. The mod that fries your computer, is that a good mod? Yeah, it was definitely increasing the memory and CPU and GPU. So it's definitely doing something. I just don't know what. I'm gonna try this one. I'm truly devoid of ideas. And then after this I will burst into tears. I did just think of an evil idea. Evil idea. Instead of hijacking this right here, this is the part that actually puts it in the queue. Hold on. Couldn't I just check, hey, if the body part equals this, then add the tail? Obviously this is called everywhere, but... Okay. Evil idea time. Ontologically evil idea. For the evil part of my idea, the fucking A1 is going to be 18. Now this is for every single object, so this is probably going to instantly crash. That's even better. That is a really funky looking world. Whoa! This is a really funky looking world. Oh my. Oh my god. Ew, you can't show that. Okay. So now my idea is, what would we just call that function twice? One with the original, and the other with the tail. Oh my god. That's closer to what I want. That's really close to what I want. Kirkle, you don't have tail. Does Schleep have tail? Oh, Schleep does have a tail. So now we just need to find whatever the body is. If it's drawing a body, then draw a tail. Obviously, we need to also make sure the model is that of one of the mepians, but I don't actually think that would be too hard. I'm looking for here. The body is OX13. Okay, so we should be like, the body is 13, the tail is 18. If the model subindex is that of the body, call the one with the tail. So that should stop the mepians looking like a mess. It should now just draw their body and their tail. Their tail is a bit high up. Maybe that's fine. Yeah, their tail's nice and low down. Maybe they just got a high tail. So I think that's mostly us good now. We just need to be careful because some other models might have an index that isn't what we're looking for. We should just print out the indexes. That would be easier. So here we can see model 9.5 is the hollow. We're just going to make a list of integers. Must be a constant. It's constant. Why are you not happy? There's no target type. There is. I don't know how C# works. I'm assuming 2.5 is just an Itopian. A Kirkle is 9.6, although it does not have a tail. The Schleep is actually OXAO. There's our hollow. I guess we can assert that our hollow is still the same. Yeah, OX95. The parties have their messed up eyes with the wrong coordinates, but there's a little tail. Okay, so a party is a tail. Presumably it's... I'm not seeing an OX13 in there. Oh, they're right at the top. Because, yeah, it's the body, the head, arm, wing, leg. What about the mammoth? The mammoth does not have a tail. The mystic forest. At 3 a.m. The krill does have a tail. And also a massive gap in its neck. Perfect for saw blades. Krill index is OX91. It's kind of the krill and pull, is it not? Or krill and pole. Like that's like the pole's body, yeah. Gal have tails. They're not great, but they've got them. OX93? Maybe? Anyone else in this level? The snip. The snip's gonna have a nice big long tail. I think their tails are super pretty. Oh, I like their tails a lot. They're A1. Oh, Veryl. They could have a tail. And they do, a little spirally tail. OXA2. Oh, Cuttle. Cuttle do not have tails. That's them all then. Okay. So if the model index is in, if contains, you know, map would probably actually be better then. Or set, sorry. How do I do a set in C#? C# hash set. Oh, it's just called hash set. Does that work? FMP model contains the model index and the subindex is the body. Perfect. That should be golden. We will double check everything in that case with our code. Rename you, rename you, rename you. I write code as if I'm writing C++, even though it's not. I'll do it again. I do want some consistency. I'm just going to make everything public. Unindent the namespace. In fact, can't you just write like namespace and then like that? Is that not just a thing that can be done? Won't be needing any of this. Frustrated that none of that seemed to actually work. I really feel like that should have worked, but it didn't. I tried, and that would have been my preferred way to have done it. But I'm at least happy I was able to think of another way to do it, even if I'm not the most happy with the other way to do it. It's fine. It gets the job done. I think we're all done. I will test the mod in release mode now. Switch to release. We hit Control Shift B to build. I don't even know if the shift button needs to be pressed, but I press it anyway. Okay, so that's built in release mode. Still has a program debug database, but you know what, that's fine. They can have that as a treat. Why does that say File Explorer on the end? That's a bit cumbersome. Let's verify all of them just one more time. There they are with their tails. I'll mark an X next to them to say, yep, we have verified. Let's just go backwards. Let's be quirky like that. Just to feel something. Well, there's the party's tail. So the party and the barrel. There's the hollow's tail. It's very high up. The snip's tail is more low down. The hollow and the snip. So we just need to do the sheep and the cruel. Oh, there's a cruel and there's the tail. Perfect. I want to just verify it is using this list and the list is working as intended and it's not going to do this on a model that isn't. That, so I built it without the sleep being detected just now. So we shouldn't see a tail on the sleep right now. No tail, tailless. But when it's in this list and it gets built and we do the same thing, then there's our tail. Perfect. I am very happy. That's the mod. That's it done. The modding part of the mod. I can stop panicking. We'll save this. I don't think there's any... Oh, I did add that comment. Hi, I'm back. I'm not going to do the art just now, but I just remembered that the NiGHTS collection exists, and I want to check that my mod works inside the NiGHTS collection. So on my current save I won't have it unlocked, but I should just be able to, yeah, force my way into it. Oh, what a depressing collection. Oh, wait, I need to click into it. I see. Okay, let's find the first non-decorative A-life. Make the first non-decorative one a mepian. Well, we can see the mepian. It's not really a good angle to see whether they've got a tail. Mayhaps the next A-life might be better since they've got their rear facing towards the camera. Wait, do they go in a different pose each time? Oh no, they don't. Okay. Oh. Their tails are quite far up on their back. Is it just because I'm... No, it's not rendering their tails at all. Oh, that's frustrating. If the way they're rendered in the NiGHTS collection is close enough to the way they're... Why do you keep going into light theme? Please, just save my settings. Please. Mayhaps it is similar in the NiGHTS collection. Angel Gallery? Gallery Angel, probably that one. Ah, that just uses the regular render function. I don't think it does. Like, does this get called at all? This function? If we open up Cheat Engine? Oh, it definitely gets called. Where does it get called from? I can't exactly remember how to use the stack trace here. What if I just hit the step out button? Where the hell am I? I don't like it displaying like that. That's a really awkward way to display the addresses for me. Why? I just want to know what calls you. Oh. Haha. I found it. This. Decompilation failure. How are these rendering then? I should actually verify with Frozen Bell, because the Frozen Bell peons can have a big tail. No tail. Very frustrating. I wonder. Are we even entering this function at all? We are. We're entering the function. Are we reaching here at all? No, we're not reaching there. I've got some ideas actually. Hell, this should be getting called. Yes, okay. And if we go to whatever called that, then here's the for loop. Oh god, is this gonna need a different solution? I just realized. Fuck. Shit. Oh, that just crashes it. Good. Okay. That's actually terrifying. Theoretically, we could actually just. That's fucked up. That's fucked up. I could just probably actually do this function here instead. I swear I hooked that function in my Wiseman transparency fix. And if I do, then I don't actually want to use that in two different mods because that would make one incompatible with the other. But I should verify that's the case beforehand. Shit. Unless I can be double hooked for her pleasure. Oh, crash me. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. You're still not rendering the tail. Even with me doing all of this. I am actually very surprised that wouldn't work then. So that's got me baffled. Oh, what the fuck is that? Maybe I just go through them one by one until I find the tail. It's a bit annoying, but oh, they're all gonna be like that. Oh, they shouldn't all be like that. Oh boy. Maybe the tail model just doesn't get loaded in. Although to be honest, I'm having trouble getting any of these to be forced to be any particular. You've got me so confused. How you're not changing at all. I guess it's V4 that's actually mostly changed. Oh, that's annoying maths to do. Oh, that math sucks. Oh, that looks so ugly. I can't read that code very well. So dereference the value there and interpret it as a double word pointer and then add the sub-index. Oh, my little brain's too fucking fragile to handle all that. That's so complicated. Well, that's a void pointer. We're just treating as an integer. How did you dereference a void pointer? Oh, I've got an idea. I don't need to understand the math perfectly, just with the body, not body. So if I do the original hook, then go inside a level, it'll be like, wow, here's the value and here's what it becomes, maybe. Does that make sense? Like I can just, as long as the difference between the body and the tail is always the same offset, then I can just mark down that offset. Well, there's the body, and that will be the tail. So the difference between those is, okay, I'll write that down, but I want to verify in another A-life that that's the case. Oh god, that's different. Okay, that's different. Okay, well that fucks that plan. There is not a consistent difference between the body and the tail. That's really upsetting. I don't know how to do the maths they want me to do. Does anyone even care about the NiGHTS gallery? The egg colours aren't even consistent. New idea. We're just going to print out what V4 is for all of them. Fuck. My brain is fried. My mod is mod. Okay. I am just going to write these all down. I want to verify that the hollow still has the same address. It doesn't. It does not have the same address. That means the solution isn't going to work. Which means I am officially giving up this solution. I have... Okay. It is decided the NiGHTS collection is not getting their tails. Aww. Sorry, NiGHTS collection. I did try. Oh god, I spent like an extra fucking hour 15 minutes trying, but that's about as much time as I'm willing to take for a menu that, like, It's a menu. The gameplay is why I want to add details so I can look at them and be cute in the game, not so I can look at them and be cute on the menu. This is Lily in the editor. So I recorded some footage today of me trying the Ghidra reverse engineer decompiler pseudocode generator program instead of IDA Pro, and I found that Ghidra was not very helpful for me. I've used it in the past sometimes with the Nights into Dreams HD decompilation efforts, but I have found that IDA Pro works better for me. The very smart people that do the Sega Saturn decompilation, they use Ghidra, and it seems to work well for them. But on Nights into Dreams HD on PC, and at least for me, we have issues such as it looking uglier, the functions don't have the same number of parameters as they do arguments, which is also an issue IDA has sometimes, but I find it's more egregious in Ghidra. And Ghidra is not making the horrible math equation look nicer, nor is it revealing any hidden functions that I missed the other day. So unfortunately no new solutions there, but I figured it was worth the comparison. Hopefully sometime soon I will be able to do the artwork. Hello. It's been a few days, so I figured I would get started on the artwork at a solid almost 5 a.m. I've obviously advanced with my computer, installing software. I've got this cute mouse now. Oh, well, there it is. Haha. With an obnoxious trail, so I don't know, fucking deal with it, I guess. But I need photos of the mepians' butts, their asses, where the tails would go. And there's not too many of that, so I figured that I could take photos of their butts. So the way I was thinking of doing that was to take this rendering function we have here, and in one of the tests I was doing, for some reason I didn't actually, this wasn't being called or something, and it just made everything like a blank void. So I thought, if everything was a blank void with this function not being called, then what about if I only called this function for the mepian models? And therefore I just added this at the bottom. Now, the only thing of issue is I don't know of a way of toggling the tail to be on and off. I don't really know how to handle user input too well. I guess I did make like the input mod, but like I don't really have a good, easy interface to interact with the input, especially things that aren't the dialogue stick. And stuff like the A-Life editor, that's just dealing with analog input because that's what I know how to deal with from having made the input mod to get rid of dead zones and stuff. And I don't know how to do keyboard input at all. So the only other alternatives is I could connect this up to an ImGUI interface, which would work like the A-Life editor where there's buttons and stuff. But that would include needing to like attach it and stuff, and that's a lot to do just to take screenshots. So I'm not going to do that. To be honest, it's probably not that hard to get the keyboard input. Let me. Oh, one sec. I should probably. So hopefully now, actually, I should be able to. Mercury. Was that an advert? I saw something. I saw something that looked like an advert. Okay. C# get keyboard input. Oh, that's bright. No, the AI overview. Is it that easy? So if we store like a boolean render tails, we can start it as false. Then we can do if keyboard key down. Modifier static is not. Okay. I guess I don't really know C#. I will just place this underneath the function. Render tails equals not render tails. It's still unhappy with keyboard. I thought we did that. Would that not fix it? No, it didn't include it. Why? System Windows input. Why does that not work? What if I get the mouse position? fsystem.windows.input. That doesn't exist. I'm frustrated. I can't figure that out. So, we're going to do a real lame strategy of we're literally just going to alter every second. And so every second is 60 frames, so we're just going to have a little counter starting at 0. And for every time we call the function, we're going to increment it. And if the counter modulo... is that called modulo? I think that's called modulo. Is that modulo? That is called modulo. Okay. If the modulo of 120 is lower than 60, then do this. So this should hopefully make it so that it cycles every second between enabled and disabled. Now, there will be some things that do not render using the add to queue function. For example, this Nighttopian's body, the 2 flashing rectangles. Let's turn this into a party. So hopefully its tail should toggle off and on. It seems like its entire body's toggling between off and on, and way faster than we wanted it to. That's incorrect. Oh, this is just the original function. So first of all, that's a mistake. This should be relative to this right here. I can put this counter in it. And I wonder if the counter's increasing for each individual mepian. So if there's a lot on a level, then that means it's going to toggle quite fast. Huh. Oh, wait, no, if we just have the counter increasing in this mepian function, then it'll just increase by 1 for every mepian, and I typically don't have mepians in my levels, so that should be fine. On, off, on, off. Awesome. So I can be like, when arms out, so that's the tail out. Well, these are crusty because they're in Steam, and Steam stores them as compressed images, but inside Steam's settings, you can set it to save to an external folder, and that should be in its full quality. So here, haha, these are uncompressed. I will open them up in paint.net and verify that they are uncompressed. Indeed, there's no artifacts around this mepian, which is very nice. Mayhaps it would be good to find a way to make this background green, like a green screen, so they're easy enough to cut out, but that's not the reason I'm taking photos of them. So a Kirkle doesn't have a tail, but a Cruel has a tail. Okay. Frozen Bell. There is going to be snow particles, which is frustrating, so I'm just going to try and take the photograph when the snow particles are not interfering with the mepian. No, oh my god, they're joining with all the other mepians. Stop, get away from them. You're making this really hard to photograph you. See, that one doesn't work at all. That one just gets deleted. Oh, those two go really good together. I really like those two together. And we can just delete this one. Yeah. Perfect. 2 photos, how are they? They're a slightly different pose, but it's mostly fine. That'll do. That's real good. Oh, they move a lot. Oh my gosh. Stop. Stop. Okay. Oh my gosh. I'm choosing a different A-Life. You suck ass. You're such a pain. Do you move around often? Oh, yeah. Are any of you just chilling? Oh, you're brooming. A little one brooming could be cute. Oh, they're flying now. Oh, whistling. Cute. Oh, those are really nice. Yeah. Okay, those two for sure. Stick Canyon has an annoying fog as well. Spring Valley. So the issue with the fog is that fog, it appears like the opposite direction from the camera. And it just looks really bad. So I've got to like quickly move the camera into position and then take the photo. Awesome. I think that's really good. Oh, we don't need you. Now, for the actual like drawing that I want for like the download the mod, I was thinking like a pin the tail on the donkey type of scenario. The pin the tail on the donkey is typically like a sort of archery style target on the butt. And then you've got the tail with the pin on it. So yeah, I don't really have my paint tools set up, and I don't actually really want to do that high effort of a drawing because I'm kind of tired and demotivated and just I've not been feeling great about my art. So I think I'm just going to use like MS Paint. And that way if it's shit, which it will be, it's like, well, you know, it was done in Paint, so be it. This will be in Edge. I'll need to draw this in a Chromium-based browser because the online recreation of MS Paint called JS Paint has issues on Firefox. So this is on Edge because Edge comes with Windows, and that's pretty much it. Yeah, what are the vibes I'm going for? It's like you're gonna have them here. Like this is the snip, and they're gonna be just sort of snipping around, kind of like that. I don't. It's kind of their body shape, I guess. No, their heads are quite big compared to their bodies. Yeah, that seems good. And then like, you know, they've got like the weird little, this is just like a quick idea, like weird little ear things and then their feet and arms. And then it's going to be a big like, here's the tail with the pin, right? That sounds, no, you need to have this dumpy out. They need, yeah, yeah, like that. So they can have a big target. And they've got like a big nose thing. The nose would be kind of just pointing out the front if it's shown at all. They could be having like their head rotate round. Like they're like, I don't really like that being curved. Yeah, and I think I prefer it more conal. Like a cone. I would prefer like eyes like that. Could I have an eye like that? What did the pointy ear things look like that don't make me sound insane? They're kind of phallic. I don't know how to draw them that isn't invoking like that. I guess they're kind of tipped, they're more diamondy to be honest. Yeah, sure, fuck it, why not? Yeah, fuck it. You know what, that's fine to be honest. Over or behind, over or behind. Yeah, let's make it a bit bigger, to be honest. I'm gonna give them a bit of a peeved expression. Oh, that's pretty good. I can't really get that eye to look down there. Maybe like that, maybe. Can I have like the arms bent like in towards their body? Like no, that looks like they're doing goatsy. I can't do that. Okay, they're dangling arms. The other arm is not going to be visible. I want the arms to be bigger relative to the body. The arms should... arms could be a little bit bigger, I guess. A bit thicker. Nice big arm. And the leg is kind of just like a little ball with like, kind of like two... You got like upper bit, like upper snowball kind of. Then there's like a little joint in between, connecting to like a lower, like snowball. That's alright. And then it's got like a little spike at the back. Now his legs and stuff are too big compared to his body actually. Alright, we'll size down the leg. I want that to be a bit more 3D, so that's gonna go up a wee bit. To be honest, maybe if his just entire head was bigger, maybe just if its entire body was smaller. I'm not too sure. It looks a bit off, and I'm not entirely sure why. A little bit smaller, a little bit squishier. To be honest, that might be good enough. Does this even look like the mepium that I'm trying to represent? I hope so. How am I feeling about that? I think I feel good about that. I still think the entire body should be smaller. I like the big head. Sorry, the big body is a bit off for me. Oops. No, not like that. Oh, fuck. I balls it. It's a no way to keep the aspect ratio. Something like that. It looks a bit rough because of, obviously, MS Paint's general roughness, but I think we're going to be Probably making the entire texture a bit smaller afterwards or some shit. I don't know. I'm just speaking at my ass, to be honest. If I look at some like pin the tail and the donkey artwork, obviously you've got like here this donkey is presented as rear with the target. Otherwise, you can see the pin in that tail. Do you pin the tail in the donkey because the donkey's an ass? Why is it a donkey in particular? That feels kind of rude. What if other animals might want tails embedded into them? They've got a pin as well. Okay, so we'll just, do a pin as per usual. I don't think there's anything special, if I'm being honest. The snip's got quite a big, long, rigid tail, but I think I can just make the end a bit floppy, to be honest, to shove the pin in. So it would be like, this is like the bit where the pin would be. Then I make the rigid shape, like it's like a, to be honest, the Sega Saturn sprite for the tail on Nights to Dreams HD, it's quite floppy looking, plumb bob looking shape on the other end. That's not, to be honest, where that should be. Yeah, more like that. I think that's fine. Maybe. Okay, I'm actually happy with that. Then we want a nice big pen. Nice big pen. Okay, I think that looks good. Do I have the other arm like just poking out? To us, that's kind of cute. If I just have it like existing off in the distance. Oh, that's kind of cute. That's really cute. I think I like that. Oh, I could have him plush. That would be cute. I think it's time to colour in now. I don't think there's any more details I want to add. Make the body white. Yeah, I'm just going to do it all white, which is going to make it easier to colour in certain sections and stuff. Because then with the eraser tool, if we were to, like, let's say want to make part of the body red, we can just use right click over the body like that. Whatever colour the left click is up here will be changed into the right click colour, so you can use that to change specific sections. I'm sure there's other neat tricks that I don't really know of because I don't really use MS Paint. It's a program I would like to try more often just because it's nice and light-hearted and reminds me of being a kid. Get nostalgia for that, whether that's on like school computers or at home. Something like this. We can give them their red eyes. It's a bit red. It's going to be a tiny bit of orange, just like a hint. Like an outline before we get to the yellow, which is just going to be like pretty much instantly. And then it just kind of switches straight to like the fucking lime scout green.
Dummy.
The tail is pretty much entirely yellow with just the lime scout green tip to it.
Baby.
Whereas these have a more gradual, like halfway point scenario before they switch. It's a bit simple, but I think it works. Just gonna make those lines invisible, make that red, and probably make it thicker. It's probably easier just to fill that in and draw a white line. I think that looks good. Should the pin should probably have like a nice big red. There we go. I could have some like darker colors for things like those outlines could be a darker green, all dark yellow for that. We'll sort the little bits out later. Dark orange, dark red. Oops. I want that to look sharper. There we go. That looks pretty sharp. Ooh, ouch. I don't want that going in my rear. Unless. And then dark green. The mod's name's just like mepian tails, yeah. So I guess I can write that in a big text. I think, maybe. I don't know. There's not going to be enough room. The rest of the text can be small, I guess. Unless it's like a weird, like goofy, like, whoa, it's me, mepian, crusty, fucking nearest neighbor ass filtering aside. Just ignore it, forehead. Mepian tails. Cool. I like that. And we can give this like a hideous like color scheme, like green and yellow and orange and red. Green again. No, that doesn't seem right. Oh, what if we went like cyan to green to yellow to... Okay, yeah. Yeah. Oh, that looks so cute. I love those colors. And then it's going to be difficult to use all those colors for the word tails. I could do like trans pride colors. Frick it. I'll make my own color. Give me a nice bright pink. I do realise there is actually a tiny, like, little bit of cyan before the green on the models. The cyan is really hard to see, but it is there. And then for the darkness imprisoning me, I think we're done. I think we're done. So the only artwork left to do would be the YouTube thumbnail artwork. Like, I don't know what the YouTube videos can be called. Like, failing my way into making a Knights mod, or Knights mod through law of large numbers, or can I give this thing a butt? Like, see if I was to like a dumpy. I guess that doesn't work with the dartboard type design. I think that'll do. I think that's me. And here's the result. Yay. I guess now that I've thought about it, there's one more thing I can do, I should do tonight, is to actually make it appear as an icon here. And we'll rename it preview. And now in reloaded, when we click on it, it doesn't appear. Why does it not appear? Oh, by the way, my reloaded is blue now. That's my attack. Yeah, there we go. That's skip intro. Why the fuck am I replacing the texture for skip intro? That's not what I meant to do at all. Why am I in that folder? Whoops. Oh, well. I fucked up. Hey, the icon's back. Now if we go down to mepian tails, there we go. Technically I can start filling in the information for the game banana page, but I'd rather do that when I'm uploading it. And I'm not at the stage where I want to upload it yet. Hey, it's Lily in the video editor, DaVinci. I've not made any progress on like the YouTube thumbnail, but I have edited everything up to the creation of the game banana icon. Editing the video has been a long time, even though the video I think is only like an hour 15 minutes long right now. That is cut down from like a lot of footage. Actually, I could just check the footage. It would be all these files. Edited down from just under 8 hours of footage. So I've managed to cut out 7 hours at least. Well, almost 7 hours. And I think I've done a decent job at editing. I've not really used this. I've not used DaVinci Resolve for such a big project before. I have typically only had experience with Vegas Pro. So it's been interesting figuring out a sort of workflow that works for me, which is generally just snipping up parts and learning stuff like how to do the subtitles in the editor, because I like subtitles, I like accessibility. And I feel like oftentimes my words are not pronounced very well. Of course, I did some things with the subtitles wrong, like DaVinci can guesstimate the subtitles, but they're not the most accurate, so I've been going over them, and it seems better to generate the subtitles before the footage is edited rather than afterwards, at least from my experience. There's good knowledge. If you generate the subtitles before you edit the footage, then the subtitles will have content, words, sentences that you're planning on cutting out. But otherwise it seems to not know where one sentence ends and another begins. But sometimes I could see the benefit for cutting down the video before editing the subtitles. I have trouble speaking very often, and so my sentences will have big long breaks in between the words that I say, because I have the idea in my head that I want to portray and I have difficulty expressing that idea. And sometimes that can occur mid-sentence and cause a few seconds of silence, which breaks up the sentence and makes it harder to comprehend. So cutting up those areas of silence helps with that. If I were to have recorded my entire editing process, then it would kind of be recursive, as in the amount of footage I record would then be, I would then need to edit down that footage as well. I could edit down the sentences that I'm saying just now. That might be a good example. All right, so I have generated a new video file from what I have just done. So if I find it in here, here it is. I can drag it in. I can ask, why is there so many empty audio tracks? Now, obviously, the sentences in which I'm saying right now, the footage I'm recording right now of me in the editor, that footage is going to need to be edited down, and I can't keep showing off that, otherwise it will never end. But I figured, I think it's somewhat fun, I think it's somewhat interesting. Let's start with generating the subtitles. As far as I know, I need to shove the track with the audio on an empty audio track, otherwise the subtitles will regenerate for the entire project, which is not what I want. Now, it is unfortunately listed under AI tools, which I don't like AI. As far as I'm aware, in older versions of DaVinci Resolve, it was not marked under AI tools, so I think this might just be a scenario where it is a marketing term, where everyone's like, wow, AI is the greatest, even though it's actually, I really dislike it, especially generative AI. I would prefer that my videos be accessible through subtitles. I would rather have subtitles than not have subtitles. So there we go, it's generated the subtitles. I can take the audio out of the separate track that it was in, and then I can listen to my awful voice. So there, I've said a redundant thing. Hey, it's Lily in the editor, in the video editor in DaVinci. That is too many words. I should just say, hey, it's Lily in the video editor, DaVinci. So let's shorten that down. So then I hit Control B, which will cut the track. Right there, I cut, and then I delete this segment, and it seems like Lily in the video editor, DaVinci. See, and that sounds like a comprehensible sentence. And I can then edit the subtitles, which this is the disadvantage to generating the subtitles before editing it, is you then need to update the subtitles to actually match. But I think that's a sacrifice worth making for actually having worthwhile subtitles, because the first part of the video, when I created the subtitles, like for the first, it would maybe be like the first 30 minutes or so in the editor or somewhat, it didn't generate the subtitles very well. Now, I don't know if that's because of the settings I had set for my subtitles. It was a lot of very, very short subtitles, single line. And I have changed that to a double line 60 character width. I think the default is single line 44 character width. So it might have been something to do with that, but I am happy doing it this way. I say a lot of ums and ahs, and those can be cut out. And then there's big areas where I'm not speaking, so those can be cut out. And there's a lot of dead space here. It just didn't generate subtitles here at all, which is frustrating. So I'll just write these manually. That looks good. Cut out the dead space. Using the audio waves is a really good way to do that. And then I just drag the subtitles to make it just one subtitle instead of separate, because I don't know how to. Maybe I could lock that track and maybe. Does that mean if I was to cut? Oh, it wouldn't cut the subtitles. I should. Oh, but maybe the ripple thing won't work. The ripple doesn't work. I'm sure there's some way that I would be able to make it so that it doesn't cut the subtitles when I hit Control B, and I can cut out me finding the folder. That's not important. Here the files and properties are not really visible, so I can edit this zoom value to just give like a brief overview. And then I have to check the folders at the left and stuff to try and make sure there's nothing on the screen that would be personal information that I wouldn't want to share. And I do think I've done a decent job of editing. I'm actually very happy with the editing. I put in like lots of funny jokes for people who are willing to go through the hell of like an hour 15, if not longer now, like an hour 30-minute video of me rambling and just kind of being an obnoxious fucking brat, which is unfortunately who I am, so. Luckily, these sentences have been rather good. That's too big a gap. There's a lot of mumbling here. I say I 4 times, but it's fine. I am so zoomed in, I just also realised. I don't really need to be that far zoomed in anymore. I'm just going to reset that zoom, and it's too much effort for me to go back through every other track to do the same. right? And now's the part where I cut out there being a bug on my screen and me being scared of it. Oh god, there's a little bug on my screen. I quite like that area because there are little gaps in it, and I don't think they're too large for me to require cutting, but it shows off what I'm trying to show off, or what I'm trying to state, in that the words have spaces between them. And here we are. There we go. We're at the end. So now I'm going to edit the footage I've just recorded. And that will not be recorded. But yeah, so hopefully, I don't know, maybe that would have been interesting. Is there any, did I say anything that I could edit, like something more advanced into? Did I say a funny, having the subtitles also helps me differentiate the parts of the video in the editor itself. There's not much to show. I will find like a picture or a GIF or something, or make it, and I will just kind of like drag it over. So here's Big Arms from Sonic 3, used for a bit where I say Big Arms. And then I can be like, whoa, you're over here. And then I hit the keyframe button. And then I go, wow, now you're over here. And there we go. Wow. And that's amazing. And then I can do the same for audio. I can just shove audio underneath. And that's just kind of been like, I think that's as advanced as my editing has really gotten. Hello! Little 5-minute tangent. So, unrelated to everything, I was wanting to make a Binding of Isaac mod, and for that I need Git. So this would be the first time of me using Git, but unfortunately... Oh wait, no, it totally works. Oh well, never mind. I don't have too much time. Oh god, here it comes! Oh fuck! It's the scary day. And you know what's scary about the scary day? Is this is the day I gave myself an arbitrary deadline to post the mod. Mainly just because it's a video with my voice in it, and I've not really had my voice in a video, not outside of music, and not since transitioning, so at least I don't think I have. And so I thought it'd be funny if I'm like, ooh, scary, because I've not done voice training. Ooh, scary trans woman voice. Ooh, Halloween. That is pretty much the entire basis. I haven't thought of any ideas for a thumbnail. I tried. I mean, I got a few ideas, but none of them I really liked. I just really haven't had the motivation to draw, and I've still not set up my drawing tablet software. So I think all I'm going to do is I'm going to make a screenshot of a Nightopian T-posing in front of code. What's this fire on the sides? I think that'll be a good image. So first of all, I need a T-posing Nightopian. I do not have the models exported, so I will use my own tool, my port of the tool by Grammar. It's pretty much just her program, but I stole it. So we take this executable, we place it into the Nights directory, at least that's where I like to put it. Oh, the usage instructions are on GitHub. I'm requiring people to go for an extra step. Wow. We're just going to extract them all because I think that would be easier. We open up the terminal, we put in Nights into bins, and now we need the binary file directory. That directory is this AFS folder, because this is the folder that contains all the binary files. I will tell it that it is in AFS, and there we go. It is extracting all the models, and it's doing its best for the textures as well, but it sometimes struggles with the textures. This can take a little while. Wow, I'm back. Alright, so now that we have the assets extracted, they are here. Well, they should be here. There they are, in this out folder. An easy way I find assets is to just display every image, every texture in the folder, and to find the one that has the Nightopian texture. So this does show off like a lot of the broken textures. So textures like this, that's not correct. That's not exported properly. But there are some other methods. There's some NiGHTS like gallery images. Would any of these be useful? These aren't the models in the game. Yo, maybe something like that. In that case, I don't even need to do a render in Blender. I just overlay this. Now we need some code. I'll see if they have any bit that looks particularly nasty. No, this is the entire code. It's actually rather pathetic looking. Have it at like an angle so that it like makes it look more intense than it actually is. I wanted to just look a bit chaotic, so oh, I don't know what it's called. I'd done this exact thing before. I'd done this for one of my mods. Oh, I didn't do it quite so intensely, but I had a bit of the cheat engine on the relevant section, or hex, or whatever. I'm not sure what it would be called. It's a shame we can't use a GIF in a thumbnail. Ah, we could use a frame from a GIF. It would look nice and crusty. Yeah, I kind of like that crust. Is there any of these blending modes that would look nice? And then if I get like some, I want some like gradient from red fading away. Ooh, I like that. I really just want the NiGHTS to have an outline. Paint.net does not have an outline tool, so there is a Paint.net like add-on, bolt baits, and we've got outline object. Perfect. This is exactly what I'm looking for. Could have YouTube fucking clickbait red. Pink's cute. Ooh, I do like that. I think this conveys like my sheer panic of not knowing what the hell I'm doing. Thinking emoji. And I think we're ready to start actually realizing that we don't have stuff like a get ignore, which is a bit frustrating. I'll just use the same as I use for other mods. Let's create a repository. Let's find our get ignore just from another one of our projects. Here it is. Into there. I do notice that naming convention does not match the rest. Mayhaps it's this value here. And so we should now have a folder. That's incorrect. If I've modified the config file, then why is it? It doesn't matter. It does not matter. Who cares? That is my solution. Ooh, there is one more thing that is important that needs to be updated in the config file. And that is if we want to allow automatic updating, we need, I believe the project URL is what's responsible for that. The project URL is not what is responsible for that. What is responsible for that? Unless does the alife editor just not have auto updating? Oh shit. The alife editor does not have automatic updating. Fuck. You really don't have auto updating? You do. What? Wait, what? The alife editor does have auto updating, but not on its GitHub? Right, I think I know where I messed up. You don't need to update this data inside of a config. You can do it in reloaded. So what is most likely is through reloaded, I chose to edit the mod, and then in update support, I decided to add the GitHub repository. This would have updated the config inside the mods files, but not inside the projects files. I really cannot be... I should update it, shouldn't I? Alright, let's update the alife editor mod. I'm a bit peeved. Let's take the config from the mod that we have downloaded on the alife editor, and we need that one to replace the one uploaded to GitHub. So we'll see if this will let us upload these changes. No, it does not. Okay, and then that would just be my username on GitHub, which is not my favorite username. I'd like to update it, but if I update it, that means someone else can sign up using my old username. If they were to make projects with the same repository names, then they could upload malicious mods. And I do not want people to upload malicious mods and then have the mod updater automatically update to their malicious mods. I think the chances of that happening are very unlikely. But that is a vulnerability with me changing my username on GitHub that I would rather just avoid right now. In theory, I could change my username on GitHub, then create a new account under my old username and just not make any repositories on it, just to make sure that no new repositories get created. Because otherwise, GitHub will redirect to the new repository URL unless there is a new repository created under the new user. Regardless, let's create the commit. And let's see if I'm going to have a pain, if I'm going to need to scream. Oh, okay. That's fine, actually. That's just a part of Git. I'll do that, I think. Yeah, okay. Sure. Oh, wow. That was painless. Okay. I'm actually very happy. Okay, sure. I think I've mostly had pain in the past when I've needed to mess around with SSH keys, when I have been having to deal with downloading university projects at the same time, or projects off of GitLab, which is what I used throughout university and such. So I have 4 different Git accounts on spread across GitHub and GitLab, spread across from me being inside of university and me being outside of university. And it can be frustrating if I need to download, or even more frustrating if I need to upload any of those older repositories, especially if they use a feature like Git LFS, which in my opinion is shit. I think it's really bad because, at least on GitHub, Git LFS has any binary files contribute to a total file size limit on your account, after which you reach, it starts charging you money. Additionally, it can be really hard to download projects that use Git LFS, because if you were to download a GitHub project that uses Git LFS through the GitHub website, as far as my memory serves me, the images will not work. The images you download will instead just be references to images that exist. But now if we look on the alife editor, we'll see, wow, a commit from 3 minutes ago, correctly assigned to my account. So I clearly did something right. For mepian tails, let's edit mod. This is where we add the GitHub username. There is also an option for Game Banana, but notice that it says game ID. It says to get the URL of your mod page, you need to upload your mod first as private. You are not able to upload your mod as private unless you actually have a file associated with it. And I don't like the idea of uploading a dummy file just so I can get an ID to then update it and then upload the mod a second time. That very much confuses me. Whereas if I just use GitHub, I don't need to do any of that. So on GitHub, I put in my username, and then I put in the name that I'm going to have for my repository. Everyone can see it, and we don't need anything provided with it. And fuck off AI. Now that that's set, let's copy the file that's just been updated in the mod, and we'll paste that. Big sister gets priority. Fuck. Where was I? Should be updated. And here. Yep. Is there anything else that needs to be done? I don't think so. I'm always worried about forgetting steps. I can't think of anything, so we're just going to commit. Whoops. We're just going to commit what we've got. I'll call it initial commit because I'm lazy. That's a tried and true classic. That's all good. So I think we can just push that now. So inside the empty repository we now have, it should have the instructions on the commands we need to do. Apparently only if we're signed in. Here it is, and here is the funky little button we need to press. And then paste into here. And hit enter. And wowee, our mod. Yippee. Now, I think it's just to upload the mod. So we need to zip it, and the different mods have different ways they want to be zipped, depending on whether they're going on Game Banana and whether they're going on GitHub. We're going to hit the publish option. So default into GitHub, publish, and then we're going to do the same for Game Banana. So publish, target Game Banana, output folder, game banana, publish. So we can upload to GitHub just now. I'm going to need to use Firefox again. Why do I even have this other browser? Oh, that's why. Yep, that's all good. I'm just procrastinating. I find releasing a mod extremely stressful, which is why I oftentimes do not update a mod. Will be 1.0. This is the first release. Create new tag. And I will title it the same. This is the GitHub files. We just drag and drop to there and we publish. I completely forgot a license. Whoops. Some mods I've uploaded in the past have been under the WTFPL license, the do what the fuck you want public license, which essentially just states do what the fuck you want. But I might stop uploading under a license because I've been thinking over an idea that one of my favorite game developers, Kayan, she developed I Want to Be the Guy, and I really like that game. And the license that game is under, I should actually just pull it up. You get no rights. You're not even allowed to view the files. You've got to steal them. The reason they've done this is because she doesn't want big evil companies to be able to use her work. In fact, it's probably just on our website. She has said, the only thing preventing me from just saying I want to be the guy as public domain is to prevent any larger entities from trying anything. They're very passionate against cryptos and NFTs. That's good. I like to see that. I think that's a really cool perspective, and so I might want to try and adapt a similar license. My previous mods have been, not that anyone's ever made any derivatives of my mods, but I just think it's fun to think about. All my mods, all my projects in the past has been a public domain like license, basically because I wanted people to like just feel free to do what they want without needing to like worry about things. But the idea of just telling someone to steal your code, I think is kind of cooler. But I can't be bothered figuring out the wording I would want in a license file tonight. Anything made by me is under the WTFPL version 69.420. Oh. Okay, I guess I was pissed last Christmas. So now we're going to go into Game Banana. I'm just going to remain on Firefox. Fucking censor everything. So we go into Nights, we hit add, mod. Oh, I forgot the funny fucking subtitle. Shit. Balls, I need to think of something for this. Okay, I've got an idea. Alright, happy Halloween. I'll have it be in red, because red is scary. I'm so fucking stupid. Okay, I think I'm just going to end it like that. Oh, why is it duplicated? Oh god. Right, get rid of the red. I want to continue. Oh my god. Oh fuck, I'm fucking everything up. Oh shit. Okay, I'm happy with that. Of course, yeah. The spooky. Here we go, the screenshots. I can select the files we prepared earlier. Are they in here? Yes, indeed. These are JPEGs? Here we are. Game Banana. These files. Oh, I need to send an image to my sister. None of these are exactly what I'm looking for. Videos. I could link to this video, but I don't want people to find this video because I find people scary. We're good. Let's submit. Here it is. Here's my mod. I think I upload this now. Oh, well, I guess I need to edit the last, like, 2 hours. So thank you for, if you made it this far, then I'm sorry. I mean, I'm glad, I guess I'm glad you found enjoyment in this, but, like, I wish, why am I being so negative? Thank you. I appreciate it. I'm very nervous making this video. I find it hard to show off myself, who I am, and my voice, and the way I present myself, my style of humor, just all of that stuff. So this was kind of just an experiment, and depending on how this goes, we'll see if I do more projects like this in the future. If you've made it this far, you probably have genuinely at least hopefully had a somewhat decent time, and hopefully don't wish for my death, at least not anytime soon. So thank you. And I hope you have very pleasant dreams of mepians and their tailed butts. The butts with the tail on them. That's fuck it. 20-minute addendum after posting it. Who the fuck liked it already? I don't promote anything. How the fuck would you find that under 20 minutes? I appreciate it. How the fuck did you find me? Look, did you just so happen to visit the page at the exact time? I doubt it. Do you have an RSS feed for Nights Open? It's Game Banana's RSS feeds are broken by default, so unless you've got like a little script like I do, I'll show that off, to be honest. Let's show that off. In Game Banana, I can hit fetch. Oh, look, Nights into Dreams. One notification. Mepian Tales, and there it is. I guess I'll show off the script to fix it since I'm mentioning it. It's a bit rude for me not to. The RSS feed on Game Banana, it has a HTML tag named items that should be named channel. So this just goes through and updates it. Get the fuck out of your fucking ChatGPT ass. Sorry. So you can shove that URL in and you'll get the mod, unless it's like a. I don't think not safe for work mods show up, and I don't know how to make them show up. So for when I upload Night's first not safe for work mod, you're gonna. I'm sorry, that's not gonna appear. If I could make Nightopian fucking explode, I would. I'm exploding them out with love and violence. It's like a weird. I don't need to explain myself. That's for you to interpret. This is my fucking artwork. Oh, okay, no, that's actually artwork drawn by a friend. I mean, the mod itself is my artwork. Not the mod artwork itself. The mod artwork is not my artwork. That mod artwork is by a friend of mine. The mod itself is my artwork, the way I choose to express myself. It's fine. Okay, listen. You don't need to judge so hard. You know what? Before I make too much more work for myself, I already said my outro. Fuck you. I love you. Goodbye.